to everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Elizabeth Macdonald, and I'm a career coach with Baobab. And I'm here also with my assistant, Angela Nantambi. She's the one who makes sure everything goes well, and she helps make sure you all get into the room and everything runs smoothly. So, welcome, welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about 5 tips for a healthier work life balance. And for starters, to kind of get a sense of you, is work-life balance an issue that you struggle with? Let's hear from you and see how big of an issue it is. And I hope that this presentation is going to help you with some strategies and ideas for how to improve your work-life balance. Wow, so far not a single person has said no. Everyone Everyone has said yes. Not a single person has said no. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We're still waiting for 10 more people to respond. Jump on in. We got our poll here. All right. So I think it's a resounding yes, that yes, this is a big issue that people struggle with. And so I'm happy to be here today. And so you can see the results, like everyone said, oh yes, it is. So with the new year, let's see if we can go ahead and get started and share some tips for you. Very, very happy to see all of you there. Let me take a, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see all of you. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We have our poll. So we are, we're going to talk about really 3 things. We're going to talk about number one, what are some things that make having a healthy work-life balance challenging? What are 5 tips for how to have you how to have a healthier work-life balance? And what are some benefits of having a healthier work-life balance? So coming in here, if you could, we're going to make this participatory again. We want to hear your voice, right? All of you said yes, our work-life balance is such a challenge. Can you put into chat some of the things that make work-life balance challenging for you? What are some of the things that make work-life balance a challenge for you? You can put it in chat. I know sometimes for me, commuting is a challenge for my work-life balance. And when I get to work from home, I am so happy because it gives me an extra hour in my day. No time for family. Thank you, Denise. Thank you so much. It's challenging when you have demands of work and family. Can't get enough sleep time. Sleep is so important. What happens when you can't get enough sleep? Um, the commute is challenge. It's challenging. I heard that some of you may spend 3 hours a day in your commute back and forth for work. That's very, very, very challenging. Um, Other things, sleepless, inability to organize, overload at work. Baga, it's so nice to see you. Thank you for contributing. Olivia, thank you for your input as well. Who else do we have there? Boy, that commute, the appeal of being able to work from home and save on that commute time. So some challenges may be too much work. There may be not enough time to sleep, not enough time to work. There may be family obligations. Thank you so much, Animata. Increased responsibilities at work, long working hours. All of those can contribute to that stress of the work-life balance. Hard deadlines. Thank you, Ruth. Oh my gosh. Monicia, it feels like you wouldn't have that much control over your time if you're always working for your boss. The good thing that I have to share is that you're not alone. And even very famous and very successful people struggle with this work-life balance. And so throughout the presentation, I'm going to be sharing with you quotes from famous people. And we have here from Betsy Jacobson where she says balance not about better time management, but better boundary management. Balance means making choices and enjoying those choices. So that's our first topic that we're going to talk about, which is setting boundaries. And setting boundaries is understanding what energizes you on one hand and what drains you on the other hand. Um, to help you understand where you want to focus your time. It also means understanding what are your interests and what tasks will help you to achieve your goals. And I have for you some guiding questions that may help you start to think about boundaries a little differently. So, number one, who am I willing to give time to? Right? Not everyone deserves your time. What do you want to achieve? What are your goals? When do I need to protect time and when do I want to make myself available? Right? You can't be available all the time. Sometimes you need to protect your time so you can get things done. And why would I give one person or activity over another? Understanding what are your priorities? And then lastly, what tasks or activities will help me reach the outcomes I want? Right? So being really alert to how something will or will not help you achieve your goals. That's what it means for setting boundaries. And in boundaries, there are actually four main types of boundaries that we deal with in our work. The first type is boundaries with work demands overall, like some of you just said there, where you have increasing responsibilities, you have these deadlines you have to meet, you have a very demanding boss. It may be between a second type of boundary is between work and home. So sometimes, how many of you can give me a thumbs up if this is true. How many of you, when you get home, you find yourself checking your phone, checking emails to make sure you haven't missed something or something needs to get done? Uh, Show me a thumbs up if you encounter that when you go home, you're still working at home when you get home after work. I see several thumbs up. Anthony and Ruth and Ibrahim. So it's common. It's common and it's hard. It's hard. Thank you so much, Ibrahim. The third type of boundary is between work and family, right? So you have family obligations and your work, and sometimes you're torn between the two. Give me a thumbs up if that's true for you. Give me a thumbs up if if that's something that you have to deal with. And then lastly, with finances, boundaries around finances. So let's take a look at each one of these individually. Let's start with the work demands overall. So for this one, overall with your work demands, you want to be realistic about your time management, right? And you want to learn to say no, but you want to be solution oriented and proactive. One thing that can help is to get clarification from a supervisor about what your priorities need to be. So if you feel like you can't achieve everything, you can meet with your professor and ask them, what are the most important things you want me to be working on this week? The second type between work and home. So very important to set boundaries when you're at home and to disconnect. And this means put down your phone, shut off your instant messaging, turn off all alerts, and don't feel obligated to answer messages after working hours. Some ideas for doing this is you can turn off all alerts. I actually did this myself in the fall and it made a huge difference in my life. I was so much less stressed and I wasn't distracted by these alerts that I really didn't need to that I didn't need to have. Another idea, Angela was telling me yesterday that when she has some things she really has to work on, she uses the focus feature on her phone to shut out alerts. And so on your phone, you can Let people know, oh, I'm driving or I'm working, and you won't be bothered by anything on your phone. Give me a thumbs up. How many of you already do that? How many of you, give me a thumbs up. How many of you already turn off your alerts? Hey, thank you so much, Denise. And how many of you use that focus feature on your phone to let people know, hey, I'm I'm working. I can't respond to you right now. Give me a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Awesome, awesome, Anthony. Thank you. All right. The fourth one is between work and family, right? So sometimes the family may, thank you so much, Olufunke. Thank you so much. Between work and family, your family may not understand that, what their demands at work are. And when you get home, they may expect you to be fully available to them, but you may not be. You may have some challenges and limitations. And so let them know. Let them know that hours that you have to be working, let them know the travel demands that are related to work. Let them know if you have a big project going on that you have to work on where you may not be as available as you normally are. So those are the three main types. And then the last one with finances, it's helpful, it's important to have boundaries around your finances as well. So be realistic about your budget. Make sure that your budget is practical and realistic. Thank you so much. Clarice is giving me a thumbs up. Thank you. If family members ask you for money, learn how to say no and encourage greater awareness about financial literacy. Communicate what you can offer, right? Maybe they ask you for a loan of, I don't know, a big loan, and you can't give them that much, but you can give them a little bit. And then lastly, if you have not seen it already, there's a wonderful, wonderful Baobab presentation on Black tax. And I think Angela can put the link for you in chat, or we can provide the link for you later. I watched it the other day, and it was so interesting and helpful in talking about the pressures of Black tax and some strategies for how to deal with it. So if you feel that, you're not alone on that one either. So it's very easy to say, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, you got to have boundaries. But it's hard. It's hard having boundaries. And so I want to give you a little formula for how to say no, right? A little formula. And the first part is a buffer, then reasons, then the bad news, and then the closing. This is our formula for how we say no. So the first part is a buffer. So if someone asks you for something and you can't do it, you want to start with a buffer and say, thank you so much for thinking of me. Oh my God, that's such a good idea. Oh, I understand how this is really important to you, right? That's your buffer. Then you're going to set up your reasons. You're going to set up the logic of your bad news refusal. You want to use positive words. You want to give reader benefits. You want to show that you're treating the issue fairly, right? Right. So it may be, I don't know. We're going to give you an example in a moment. The bad news, you want to be solution oriented, maybe suggest a compromise or an alternative. And if you can, use the passive voice. So instead of saying, I can't give you the money right now, you can say the budget isn't big enough to be able to, right? You want to be passive voice. And then the closing, you want to have a forward look, an alternative to a refusal and good wishes. So let's say, for example, a senior colleague asks you to work on a project and you have to say no. Here's an example of how you could say no. Um, Thank you for thinking of me for this project. XX projects are taking up a lot of my bandwidth this week, but if the task is an urgent one, I'm happy to discuss the timeline on my other projects and see how we can accommodate it. Do you see that? So let me break it down for you. The buffer, appreciation. Oh, thank you for thinking of me. The reasons. These projects are taking up a lot of bandwidth this week, right? You're setting up your refusal. Bad news. But if this task is an urgent one, right? It's an implied refusal. I can't do it. But if it's urgent, and then the closing, I'm happy to discuss the timelines. It's an alternative to the refusal. See how that works? Give me a thumbs up if you like this little menu for how to say no. It's the buffer, the reasons, the bad news. Thank you so much, Dennis. Thank you, Ibrahim. He's laughing. It really works. It's a really nice, thank you so much, Greg. It's a really nice one. And so let me ask you guys, what would you do? What would you do? A family member has asked you for $100. You cannot afford this. You only have enough to cover your monthly expenses. How will you respond? And you set up your buffer, your reasons, your bad news, and your closing. Angela is here. And so if someone wants to give their shot at how they would respond to this, maybe raise your hand and Angela can unmute you. You can take a moment and think about it. And remember, you want the buffer, the reasons, the bad news, and the closing. A family member has asked you for $100, can't afford it. How will you respond? Anyone want to give a shot at it? And I can go back, if you want, I can go back up to my menu. Here we go. Here's our menu. Anyone want to give a shot at how they would respond to this? Any takers here? All right, Dennis. So Angela, do you want to unmute Dennis? And we also have
Yes.
correct, but Dennis, Dennis first. Okay.
Yeah, this is what I would say. Let's assume a family member is maybe my cousin called Helen. So I would say, "Hi, Helen. Hope you're doing well. Oh, I actually saw the text that you wanted 100 US dollars, but uh, just of recent yesterday, I had some issue to pay off my papers, so I may not help you that much, but I really wish you could get help. Thank you."
All right. All right. You guys, good job. He had his buffer, right? Which was his thank you. Hey, thank you. He set up his reasons. He had some issues with his papers. Set up the bad news. Sorry, he can't help you. Um, Very good. The one thing that might have been helpful is to have either like a forward look or an alternative. Maybe next month I can help you out a little bit, something like that. Um, did we have another person with their hand up? I think we had Garang. Garang, do you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, I can do so. Okay, so
Okay.
okay, if maybe let's give a case of my cousin. I can probably
Okay.
say that, thanks for your consideration, but I'm currently tight with my budget. But let us think of, let's call my uncle maybe, and he can sort out the issue.
You're funny. You're gonna put it on your uncle. You're gonna let
Yeah,
your
yeah,
uncle help out
it's
with it.
probably more stable than I am.
So that's good, right? You can say, well, let's go talk with our uncle because he might be able to help you and maybe put in a plan that's sustainable and very good, very
Yeah,
good.
thanks.
So you see how the formula works. It's a really nice formula and it works for lots of reasons when you have to say no. Give me a thumbs up if that was helpful. Give me a thumbs up if that was helpful. Am I seeing any thumbs up? Give me a thumbs up if that was helpful. Thank you so much. And good. And we have Baga. He did his thing. Oh, la 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 la. Thank you. Good. Yeah, Baga. Very nice. Baga put in the chat what he would do. I thought that was really good. Very good. All right. So setting boundaries is hard. You're not alone. Many people find it difficult to say no. If it's really hard, consider getting a counselor and having therapy. It's something that they talked about in the Black Tax Zoom event that was really, really helpful. Oh, Ibrahim, you're funny. I know. So Ibrahim just said in chat that one of his colleagues in the office is an expert at that. Now that you've seen this too, you can like observe your fellow colleagues and notice if anyone do that. You can start to become aware of how they're experts at what they're doing. You can like realize like, oh my God, they're applying that formula right now. Um, very good. So another quote for you: the challenge of work-life balance is without question one of the most significant struggles faced by modern man. Stephen Covey, very famous author. So self-care. Self-care is another element of the setting boundaries and having a better balance between your work and your home life. And these are some quotes that I thought were just really wonderful about why self-care is so important. Either you run the day or the day runs you. How many of you can relate to that? Be steady and well ordered in your life so that you can be fierce and original in your work. We need to do a better job of putting ourselves higher on our own to-do list. Oh my gosh, does that one resonate with you or does that one resonate with you? Right? How many of us put ourselves at the bottom of our to-do list instead of higher up on that list? So here are some tips for improving self-care. Some tips for improving self-care. Understand the importance of me time, right? It's not selfish. I was watching last night the Baobab course on self-care, and they had just a wonderful line in there where they said making me time is not selfish, it's self-full. You need to do it so that you can be better and there more for others. Make time for downtime and create white space, strategic breaks taken throughout the day for rest and relaxation. Especially true for those of you if you work from home. How many of you, if you work from, how many of you, can I see a show of hands among our group? Give me a thumbs up if any of you work from home remotely. If you work home from remotely, how many of you remember to take breaks during the day, right? It's we forget, and then all of a sudden it's 5 hours and we haven't left our chair. So some tips for self-care, for to do better with the self-care. Thank you, Patrick. Patrick relates to that one. Oh my gosh. So at work, at home, and mental health. So at work, take short breaks throughout the day. Take time to reward yourself after completing an important project or assignment. Evaluate your job environment. If you're under so much stress and it's hurting your health, maybe think, boy, maybe this isn't the right fit with where I need to be. And then identify and maximize your productivity and identify your most productive times of the day. So we're going to share with you on the Baobab chat links to some of our favorite apps for being productive. Um, uh, they're apps on your phone where it can, well, we'll put them. They'll like grow a forest or a tree, and if you use your phone, the tree dies or the forest dies. Or so we'll send some apps. If you in chat, if any of you have some apps on your phone that help you to be more productive, please share them in chat because we'd love to see that. We'd love to see what you use. Woohoo, Saplingly. I love Saplingly. I love Saplingly. It grows a tree if you stay focused on your work. And if you touch your phone, the tree dies. So that's another one. If any of you have apps you use, share them. One more thing about the productivity is understanding like when is your most productive time of the day? Is it morning? Is it afternoon? Is it late morning? Is it early afternoon? And identify those times and really block off that time to get your most difficult work done or your most important work done. At home, prioritize sleep. Someone said earlier of work-life balance, they don't have enough time to sleep. Sleep's important. Put your phone away. How many of you find yourself where it's nighttime and you're ready to go to sleep and you just pull out your phone and you're like, oh, I'll just check if I have any messages, right? Do any of you do that? Can you give me a thumbs up if any of you do that? They're probably not going to because they know it's a bad thing. Put your phone away and you'll sleep better. Turn off your phone alerts. And then for mental health, thank you for your honesty, Ruth. Thank you. Um, so spend time in nature. They've done research and they find really just going out and spending time in nature, you have a better mood, you have better cognitive function, you have lower stress, and improved attention and focus. Sometimes my husband and I will take a short break, go to a park near our house, and then come back home, and we always feel better. Meditation is really helpful. I will share with you in the Baobab chat some of my favorite meditation podcasts and meditation resources that are free. Um, And then recognize the symptoms of burnout. If you have extreme anxiety, reduced performance and productivity, detachment, low mood, difficulty concentrating, lack of creativity, fatigue, these are all could be symptoms of burnout, meaning you may need to get some extra help, right? Self care. So, burnout, another an interesting quote about burnout and self care, it's about resentment. Preventing it is about knowing yourself well enough to know what it is you're giving up that makes you resentful, right? Which brings us back to the boundaries, why boundaries are so important. When you have that boundary of, no, no, my family time is so important. I'm not going to touch my phone. This is time for me to be with my family, right? So that's why the boundaries are so important. Our third tip, number three, exercise. Exercise is a really, really wonderful way to help improve all aspects of your life. It helps your sleep, gives you better endurance, it helps reduce stress, it improves your mood, it improves your energy and your stamina, and it makes you less tired and more mentally alert, right? So many benefits of exercise. Our fourth tip for you is to start a new hobby. And the research on this is really, really interesting, I thought. So a Harvard Business Review said two things about starting a new hobby. They said it's essential for having a good work-life balance because it forces you to stop thinking about work. How many of you, when you go home from work and it's been stressful and you're working on this thing, how many of you have a hard time stopping thinking about work? Is that true for any of you where it's hard to stop thinking about work when you're home? Even though you're home and you're done, you're still thinking about, oh, what did that person say? And oh, how am I going to deal with this? And right. Thank you so much, Helena. Thank you so much, Patrick. So starting a hobby forces you to stop thinking about work. I know for me personally, I do a martial art. And sometimes when like I'll go to my class and she'll tell us to do something and I can feel my mind like slowly turning and like shutting down the work side of my day and trying to remember, oh yeah, that this is right. It's really true. It helps to also build new skills and regenerate depleted resources. His Holiness the Dalai Lama in North India says also, he says having a hobby is really important because when work isn't going well, you can focus on your hobby. And when your hobby isn't going well, you can focus on work. So it's really nice. Oh, you're funny, Baga. Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Helena. Thank you guys who posted in chat. Yeah, it's hard to stop thinking about work if you have a big project going on, but this can help. Suggestions for hobbies. And while we look at this, if you could post into chat, if any of you have hobbies that you've started or hobbies that give you a lot of joy and pleasure, please share them in chat for us. So suggestions in the creative arts, we have dancing, crafts, weaving. I think about our dear Victorine. How many of you follow Victorine on Instagram and her beautiful, beautiful weaving that she does? Sewing, singing, and playing a musical instrument are some suggestions for the creative arts. For sports, martial art, like karate, aikido, taekwondo. Thank you so much, Dennis. Poetry, excellent. Poetry is another creative art, playing instruments. Pierre, thank you so much. Playing games, swimming, running, hiking, bicycling, yoga, of course, another one I forgot to put on there. Interest clubs, clubs where you're with other people, so that forces you to go and to participate. A book club, a craft club. I joined a bicycling club when I lived in Phoenix, and that was really, really, really fun. Listening to music. Ideally, you want to commit twice a week, and listening to music is good, but it's listening to music is so passive. Maybe instead of just listening to music, maybe playing music or learning a musical instrument or singing, things that where you're really actively involved. Dance, thank you so much. Excellent suggestions. All right. And we've heard from any other learning to play with kids. Hey, Angela's starting a Zumba class next week, last week. That's good. That's good, good. Learning to play with kids, other favorite hobbies that you have. All right, you can still put them in soccer. What's your favorite sport? Hiking. All right. Our fifth tip, our fifth and final tip here, writing and reading poems. Very nice. Thank you. Yeah, poetry is really, uh, it's interesting. You can go to a poetry workshop and share your poetry with other, and it's nice. It's something you can do on Zoom too. Our last tip, our last tip is about maintaining relationships. Prioritizing time with friends and family. Avoid, if you have a lot of frustrations at work, you don't want to transfer it on to your family. Some practical suggestions are call a friend, plan a trip with friends, schedule a meal, go out to lunch or dinner with a friend, start a hobby. I'm a huge advocate of doing hobbies with other people because it forces you to go, right? And I'll just say this. So bicycling, I joined a bicycle group. That way I had to go twice a week. I had to go with them. If it was just me, maybe sometimes I wouldn't have gone, right? And so Aminata, she says cooking with friends. Maybe get a cooking club of sharing your favorite recipes. So maintaining relationships, you can use your hobbies also to maintain your friendships. But I thought these were some really, really beautiful quotes about the importance of maintaining relationships. So we have one from Mother Teresa. If you want to change the world, go home and love your family. Isn't that just so beautiful? Right. As I read these, if the quote really resonates with you, give me a thumbs up in the board. Yeah, or in chat, whichever you like. But I think that Mother Teresa quote's really beautiful. Thank you, Patrick. He likes that Mother Teresa quote too. It's all about quality of life and finding a happy balance between work and friends and family. Right? Invest in your work-life balance. Time with friends and family is as important as times at work. Getting that out of balance is a path towards unhappiness. How many of you can relate to that? Right? When those things get out of balance, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. Um, from Oprah Winfrey, this is a really famous quote. She says, "You can have it all. You just can't have it all at once." And that's helpful to know that, hey, I may be going through this period where I'm working really long hours, but then I'm going to have a break. And then I'm going to, right? So you can plan periods of your year or your month or your week so that you're not having balance moment to moment, but over the course of a week or a month, you are having balance. And then the last one is anonymous. No matter how busy you are or how busy you think you are, the work will always be there tomorrow, but your friends might not be. How many of you can relate to that one? It's an interesting one. All righty. So maintaining relationships. So recapping. Thank you so much, Greg. Recapping. 5 tips: set boundaries, improve, right? Thinking about boundaries with work, boundaries with your family, boundaries with work and home, so you're not bringing too much work home, and with finances. 2, improve self-care, right? Make yourself a priority so that you're taking care of yourself. Make exercise a priority, start a new hobby, and maintain relationships. So, having looked at these 5 tips for how to have better work-life balance, if we could have a poll, if Angela can launch our poll, or if I can launch the poll, there we go. Which of these 5 tips do you want to work on? Which of these 5 tips do you want to work on? You can take a moment. Good. We're waiting for about 10 more people to respond. Interesting. We'll leave it up for a minute so far. Patrick says number 5, maintaining relationships. Oh, can you share us this doc? Emmanuel, what document? You mean this PowerPoint? Yes, I'll put the PowerPoint in the Baobab chat. Thank you, Emmanuel. I'm glad you find this helpful. The PowerPoint. I'll put it in the Baobab chat where we have that other forum. Very good. 77% of you have responded. Waiting for just a couple more. Very good. All right, I'm going to end poll and share it with you. So the 25% of you said, so the biggest category was improving self-care. Wow, that's interesting. 75, so that was the biggest one, improving self-care. The next largest category was setting boundaries. And then the equal between maintaining relationships and making exercise a priority. And then a lower one for starting a new hobby. Oh, sorry, I meant to share that. There we go. Sorry about that. I know for myself earlier in my career, I just didn't have time for hobbies. And later in my career, I have. So I'm just wondering, like, why is that less? And maybe you're like, no, I don't have time. I don't have time to start a hobby. Not now. All right. Another question for you. We want to hear from you. So we've talked about the importance of that work-life balance and how, but I want to hear from you about yes, Malalu, can you put your email? You can send your email in chat to like me. You can send it just to me and I'll send you the slides. Thank you so much for that note. But I want you to think about if you had, imagine you had everything we shared in terms of that work-life balance. How would it feel? Can you put into chat? How would it feel if you had all of it? How would it feel for you? Would you feel, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but what is the outcome? What's the outcome of what's that desired goal you're looking for of achieving that balance? We have Patrick as successful. So for Patrick, that's a definition of success, that he would feel successful. Life would be easier. Yeah, it'd be easier, less stressful. Mentally, physically, and socially healthy. Thank you so much. Knowledgeable to remember everything that you plan. Sometimes when you lose that balance, it's harder to remember all the things that you need to do. Very good. Ibrahim, happy. Manicia, happier. Thank you. Yeah, it's hard to plan when you're under stress, but if you have that balance, you can it helps you to plan better. Anything else? Would know I'm somewhere good and improving. Good, stress-free, happy. So being out of that work-life balance is very stressful, and getting it back in balance can help to reduce your stress. Stress-free, happier. Good. You guys, I hope this was helpful. Let's open it up to questions. More productive. Thank you so much, Anthony. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope that was helpful. I really enjoyed pulling this together for you. It was really interesting. More productive. Thank you, Anthony. Any questions? Any questions that you have for us, or any specific challenges that you're facing that you'd like to share and get feedback on? Thank you so much, Stanley. Thank you so much. Gurong, thank you so much. Oh, thank you. I know our next session's going to be, our next session's going to be about writing and communication. I hope you can join us for our next session. It should be wonderful. Oh, thank you so much, Gurong. Yes, yes, yes. Connecting's very good. Thank you, Samuel. So our next session is going to be about communication, writing, or both written and oral. So if you want to find ways you can improve in that, that'll be our next session. Thank you so much, Dennis. That was really helpful. His network even behaved. Yeah, it's challenging. It's challenging. Thank you so much, Mariah. Thank you, Samuel. Really appreciate it. Anyone want to share anything, any special challenge that they're facing and getting tips on how to manage it?
Yeah, I think I'll share something. My name is Ibrahim. I am a tech business
Yes,
developer. My name is Ibrahim.
yes,
Can you hear me?
yes, I can.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. My name is Ibrahim. I am a tech business developer with a background in project management and data analysis. I'm very happy to have learned some of these important things that you shared. Frankly speaking, it's like a revelation because I have been having challenges in responding to people by saying no. But frankly, I've learned a lot from you today. And I also realized that you equally learn from the Baobab platform, which I also do quite frequently. And I always write about it on LinkedIn. And I also challenge other young Ghanaians to go to Baobab platform to learn. So I would like to know, sometimes when you feel so down as a person, how do you re-energize yourself? Because there are times that you feel so down. How do you energize yourself, revive your spirit again? From your perspective, can you share something with us?
Well, I think thank you so much, Ibrahim. I mean, sometimes the stress can really feel overwhelming, and it can really make you feel down and discouraged. Um, I think there are two things. I think number one, if you realize that it's really serious, you should seek out professional help and go see a therapist or a counselor, or maybe if you're religious, a guide, a priest or a minister or an imam. So I think that's number one, is recognizing the severity of it. And I'm would love suggestions in chat as well. But so that's one thing. If you need something immediately to boost you, all of the research shows going out and getting some exercise, going out and being in nature can immediately help raise your spirit. So that's my response, is that immediately get some exercise, go out in nature, go talk to someone, and if you need professional help, then you need to get it. Lamayan has a comment, says sometimes balancing work and personal life is really challenging, especially if your job is too demanding. It's true. And I think if you're finding that your job really is like it's too much, talk with your boss and say, this is a little bit too much. Can we rework our prioritize, or can we get someone else to help me with X, Y, and Z? Right? So it may be an issue of reevaluating the scope of work that you have. I hope that was helpful, Lamayan. Thank you, Ibrahim, for sharing that. Thank you so much. And we have from Dennis, what can I do to make someone really understand me? Because in most times while setting boundaries and you tell someone to give you some space, you just say you're ignoring them instead. Oh, that's hard. That is hard. Oh, again, I don't know. It's, and maybe your question, I think, is a little bit for a professional therapist to help. That's a little bit above my pay grade, as they say, as they say here. I don't know, maybe, yeah, I would go ask a therapist with this one, or, if they want to spend more time with you, maybe do a hobby with them. I don't know. That's a tough issue, Dennis. That's a tough issue. I would, interesting that you guys put self-care as one of the top ones. We will post, we'll send out to everyone the link for the self-care course on Baobab. How many of you have taken the self-care course? Can you give me a thumbs up? Can you give me a thumbs up? How many of you have taken the self-care course on Baobab? It's really good. It's really good. I don't know if Angela has the link readily available. She read my mind. She read my mind. Oh my God. It's really good. So if you haven't, many of you, put self-care as a priority. So if you haven't taken the self-care course, it's really good. And I really encourage you to take it. Have any of you out there taken it? Have any of you taken it? Can you give me a thumbs up? Yeah? Oh, we got some hearts there. That's good. It's really good. It's really good. So self-care. Good, good, good. Dennis, I think it'll help. Oh, thank you so much, Lamayan. Thank you so much. That's good advice for him. Good. Very good. Any other questions? Anyone else have a challenge that they're facing, or anything they want to share? Anything that they do to help them when they're under stress and need to feel better? Listening to music can certainly help. Dancing can help. Eating a good meal can help. Someone put cooking as a hobby. That's definitely, all of those things also can help. So in wrapping up, let me get my calendar. So in wrapping up, thank you all so much for being with us today. Our next event is on February 15th. It's on February 15th, the same time, and it's about effective communication. And when we're under stress, our communication often suffers. So there's a relation, but should be very, very helpful. We're having a guest speaker of a woman that Angela used to work with, who has really, really wonderful insight into effective communication techniques. So on that note, I think we can just about sign off, unless anyone has any questions. No. Again, I will post the PowerPoint in the Baobab chat and some other resources there that I think you'll find helpful. And again, thank you all so much for coming. So nice to see our familiar faces here today. I look forward to seeing you all next month. Bye-bye now, everyone. Take care.
You and I, we're breaking bounds on bounds.